Bitcoin rallied to about $90,000 this morning and then crashed all the way back down to about $86,000. Obviously, altcoins are getting decimated, and I kind of want to give just a time-sensitive update of what basically is causing this and what I think is going to happen next. So before I get into this, make sure you subscribe, turn on your bell notifications. Everything I say here is very time-sensitive. Now, obviously, Bitcoin has been consolidating, it's been going down, and every single time we have a market open, we see this kind of rally going into like the 9 o'clock bell opening, and then we just see a massive just slam down when it comes to the price. Now, this is for a multitude of reasons. The main drivers being that the overall stock market, the SPY, AI, tech stocks, all that kind of stuff, they're very shaky right now because of basically the projections, the data centers, and there's a lot of speculation that this whole AI bubble is going to burst. And basically that's why the Fed is so scared too with their language, why they said ignore the horrible jobs reports that they already knew was going to come. They have to basically print us out of this whole situation. And I think that the Fed is a little bit too late in regards to that. You know, obviously they have the means to do so and they said that they would do so, but you know, interest rates, in my opinion, is still too high. The economy is very shaky. Everybody has just no confidence in the overall market, the Fed, frankly speaking, the government, right? And so, you know, obviously this is going to create a whole cascade of liquidations, especially with Bitcoin and crypto, because it's highly manipulated and it's controlled by basically two entities when it comes to the price action, market makers, all that kind of stuff. And so when you kind of understand this, it just makes a lot of sense to just be sidelined or just sit on your hands, do nothing, because a lot of these people try to trade, you know, short-term leverage, and they just get wiped out, right? Like we saw like a 6% move like on altcoins within like an hour. Everyone FOMOed in thinking, oh, we're gonna go higher. And what happens? Now we're down literally 6%. So you've lost, it's like a 12% move within the span of like 2 hours, probably even less. And so again, this is a time to basically sit on your hands, try to not leverage trade, do nothing, and accumulate maybe spot positions that you have higher conviction in, because obviously most of these coins are down like 60%, Bitcoin's down 30%, give or take. And, you know, I kind of started buying around like the $80,000 range. I'm going to continue to dollar cost average as the price goes lower for a long-term time horizon. Now, a lot of people getting into crypto, they get in with a very, you know, short-term mindset, thinking they're just going to get rich really quick. And that's usually not the case. And the opposite basically happens. And so, you know, if you've been trying to trade this and you've been severely, you know, frustrated, down, underwater, very emotional when it comes to markets, right? And so, again, this is just going to be, in my opinion, par for the course. I think that this is going to continue to happen probably towards the end of the year. Not to mention, like, holidays is very slow. People don't really care to trade. Not as much volume, and you know, you have tax loss harvesting. So basically, what that means for crypto, I could be mistaken, but this is the last that I've heard. So you have like the wash trading with traditional stocks, right? So if you're underwater, they typically will sell those stocks, but you can't buy back for about 30 days. So there's like a little bit of like a difference between that and something like crypto, where there's no wash trading rule. So you can essentially sell at a loss and then buy back your crypto right away, or you can hold on to it and see if it goes down a little bit lower. And so a lot of people tend to take advantage of these because, you know, if you're sitting on like losses, you can basically buy back the same amount of crypto and still claim that loss. Now, I'm not a tax expert, I don't give financial advice, but that's basically another thing that's kind of, you know, fueling this sort of downtrend. Now, do I think that we're going to go put in new lows? I don't know. My whole line in the sand has been about $75,000 for about 2 or 3 months at this point now. That's the level that I'm going to maintain when it comes to being bullish on a monthly structure. And the higher time frame when it comes to flipping bullish, in my opinion, is about the 106 region. That would be basically the area that we need to turn into support to entertain the idea or possibility of new all-time highs for Bitcoin in particular. Now, I do think that the stock market is going to continue to sell off. I think that, you know, the Fed really needs to start making a move. I think that there's going to be a lot of speculation with, you know, rate cuts coming in for us starting basically January. And those odds have increased just a little bit, but I think that, you know, relatively speaking, we need to cut interest rates a lot more aggressively, and we need to start printing ourselves out of this whole mess, because the whole market is basically being propped up by the AI and stuff, like the AI tech bubble, and we can't afford to have that kind of lost, right? So I think if we can kind of engineer that and we can kind of stick the landing, then we'll be okay in terms of crypto. But if that somehow fails, then that's going to be very bearish in my opinion. Now, we also have the Bank of Japan that's going to be increasing their interest rate tomorrow, I believe, because it's like Friday for them, so Thursday for people in the US. I don't think that that's going to be super big. Like, there's all this like doom and gloom across crypto Twitter saying like, oh, we're going to go down like 30% because that's what happens every other time. But you know, we have like everyone basically pricing this in. This has been something that's been rumored to happen since basically October. So I would be surprised to see us dump off this. And typically what happens is, you know, we dump on good news and then we pump on bad news. So I think funnily enough, if we see like this massive pump on that announcement, that'd be pretty comical. And I would not try to trade that by any means. That's just something that I'm kind of throwing out there. So with that being said, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to kind of, see what's going on in the markets over the day. Hopefully the SPY bounces. If we do that, then we'll probably see some kind of short-term relief in crypto because, a lot of these cryptos on a leverage basis has hit their max pain for the day. So it's not uncommon to see a massive sell-off in the morning, and then we obviously see some kind of mean reversion going in towards like the afternoon. But don't get tricked out of your positions. Don't get, psychologically, controlled or manipulated to long or short unless you're a very experienced trader. But again, I don't advocate for any of that. So with that being said, have a great day, guys. Trade safe. Don't get wrecked.